How did you know this wasn't bad? This is just how a child is processing life.
Because, to be honest with you, part of it was going to therapy, and
something's remarkable with their writing, and people never even heard of it.
Once again,
it goes back to that.
We already know what it is, and
she did what she did and monetized, right?
So that's your bag.
Let's flip it.
That is the worst representation of it.
But
top 100 are always dominated by white writers, and a lot of the writing isn't even that great. If I'm gonna be honest, I've read it.
Hi everyone, my name is Luz Maria Mack. Welcome to The Missing Book. The Missing Book is a podcast dedicated to celebrating untold stories. Not just any untold stories, the stories that we don't highlight in our communities. The stories written by authors that believe so much in their stories. They know it needed to be out there in the world. Right now, today, we have a friend, someone that I deeply admire. I've been following her story, I want to say for the last 3 years, honestly. J. Vega.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little like fangirling you because you're an author-illustrator, and I say this with love. You not only was able to see me in my writing, but also empower me as a writer. And I think when I talk about The Missing Book, it's not just about a book. It's about the people that help create and shape stories. And I'm getting a little emotional because you helped create a story that I'm writing that's not out there yet. So I want to thank you for that. I want to celebrate you. But without further ado, I want to turn some time to you to tell everyone who listens to this episode who you are, what you do, and share your story.
Okay. Well, my name is J. De La Vega. I'm an author and illustrator, as you said. One of my books is called Wepa. It's about a little girl named Mia who has ADHD. And to me, it was an honest approach towards how our community sometimes treats children with ADHD. Some things are like, oh, that's a white people thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
O necesita pow, pow, pow.
Exactly. Oh, she's just not behaving.
Yeah.
So I wanted to lean into that with an honest approach of how we look at children with ADHD. And then I illustrated a book called Love is Still Winning, and it's by Fabienne Doucet, and it's a beautiful story about a mother who is feeling the weight of the world and feeling the hatred of the world and is trying to have some hope. And her child is expressing to her that love is everywhere. When a neighbor helps another neighbor with groceries or when people are feeding each other, that's love. And we can find those small acts of love everywhere we go. And I really connected with this book because I always tell my children, find the helpers, like Mr. Rogers. Find the helpers. And also that there is more good in the world than bad. You just have to look for it. It just looks like there's so much bad in the world because you see it on the news. But it wouldn't be news if it was common. So sometimes we have to go searching for love.
Yes.
So, and I've kind of led all my writing with that. My upcoming book, it's my first graphic novel. It's called Analise, The Special Dish. It's book number 1 in a series, a graphic novel, early reader series. There aren't a lot of Hispanic, Latin, especially female lead characters. And with this, I took Analise, who was based off of my actual daughter, Analise, and I created a story of a normal emotion that children have that sometimes we don't allow them to explore. We don't allow them to explore feeling jealous of other children. We don't allow them to explore feeling like, I want to be special. I want to shine. I want other people to see me as special. And that's something my daughter's struggling with right now. She wants to fit in. She wants to be seen. She wants to be seen as special. And we tell our children all the time that, you are special. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. But part of being yourself is being seen.
And that's a hard one.
It is. It's a hard age.
It's really a hard age. And by the way, I really love the name of the book and the character, Analise. I think you're really highlighting culture right there. And I had the pleasure of reading your story, but I don't want to share too much. I want it to come from your own lips.
Well, I mean, it really, to me, compounds. Like, it's a simple idea. She's just looking for a dish to bring to class.
But you say it's a simple idea, right? And I have to challenge you on that one. But as mothers, we know that anything that the kids' world is in school with their friends, with their school community, with their friend group or whatever. When there's a thing happening, it takes over the entire house.
Yeah.
There's no that's it. It's the thing. It's what matters most.
Absolutely.
Forget about what happened to you at work, if you have a headache, if you're tired, that thing is going to be your priority too.
Exactly. And I think we forget too that children only know what they know. And right now their worlds are small. So when they can't bring in a special dish or when they can't have the best show and tell, it feels like the end of the world to them because that's all their world consists of at this point.
Yes. I know exactly what you mean. My daughter, Chloe, my middle child, when she had to do this thing, her thing, and I'll try not to share so much because Chloe likes being a little bit private. She already feels like, Mom, you're right about us. And, I also asked her, do you ever want me to pull down one of my books that are dedicated to you and about you? And she said no. But I asked, and I don't know if she'll recall that, but I did ask intentionally because she is in this moment of privacy. But when she was showing her thing, I remember any slight comment about her thing that she's showing to her friends feels monumental.
Yes.
Those big emotional feelings. And I think you capture that with Analise's book.
Yeah, and I think, too, if you look at the expression of the mother on one of the pages.
Which one?
She's done. She's done by the end of it.
I mean, there was a lot of expressions.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Yeah. You highlight culture so beautifully, different texture hairs, the skin colors, the skin tones, or the eyes, glasses, no glasses. And there was this one, but again, I don't want to steal your thunder. Please share with us.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to open up. I'll read a couple of pages from the first chapter. And it's so funny because the teacher in this, Miss Hilbert, she was actually my Spanish teacher in high school.
Was that her name?
Miss Hilbert, yes. Hi, Miss Hilbert. She was my Spanish teacher in high school, and I was failing Spanish. Yeah. And she's like, you just don't do the work. If you do the work, I'll...
You know what? My kids weren't doing good in Spanish too.
I don't know what it is.
But they were, I say they, but the teachers were really hard on them. And I think you have the same thing too. My kids are bicultural. They're Dominican and Black. And sometimes our kids go more to one culture than another. And it happens to be the African American culture because they don't feel like their Spanish is good. All the shame we feel with English, they felt with Spanish. And people don't talk about it. And sometimes oh, you're raising a no sabo kid. I'm like, you know what? I reject the term because I'm raising my kids. Yeah. And they are who they are.
Yeah. But she pushed me.
Oh.
And basically our deal was I passed Spanish and she would monitor the dance group I wanted to start. I passed Spanish. I got my dance group.
Yeah.
But I loved Miss Hilbert in high school. She was amazing. So It opens in a classroom and it says, Friday's Multicultural Day. We're going to celebrate with a party. Analise raises her hand. What does multicultural mean? It means celebrating different cultures, like languages, clothing, or food. On Friday, come to school with a dish that is special to your family. Janet goes, I'm going to bring dumplings. Priya goes, and I'll bring roti and buttered chicken. I'll bring tacos. I'll bring ramen. This party sounded delicious. What if someone brings the same thing as you? Annalise is thinking to herself, then it won't be special. That's okay. Every family makes their dish special. Maybe I'll bring pastelillos? And then the little girl behind her goes, I'm going to make pastelillos. This was going to be harder than she thought. And already in the first chapter, she's like, okay, wait a minute. I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're bringing it. So this stressor's already starting, like.
Yeah, before we get to the stressors, can you share what pastelillos are? Because I had this moment, and I actually sent you the message. You call pastelillos what I call pastel en hoja.
Yeah. It's, to be honest with you, it's essentially the same thing.
But we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
We do. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, it's literally just, the dough with meat and usually olives. I hate olives. And you roll it up, you fry it. It's delicious. It's fattening. It's amazing. But
the dough is made out of plantain, correct?
no.
Sometimes.
No, the way my dad makes it, he's just usually making it with like flour, some water, some salt, and that's it. I forget what it's called with plantains. I can't remember. That's actually called something else.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what it is? It's just like a different boat stop. We're all the same.
We are all the same. But I have to admit, like when I saw pastelillos, I'm like, it reminded me, because you're Puerto Rican, right? Correct? I'm Dominican, right? We eat so much. Our dishes are so similar. So freaking similar. It's just a small variation.
Yes.
But people say it's the same thing. And we're like, no, it's not.
It's not the same thing. I think that if you had two groups of people and they were given the same ingredients and you told them, make some cookies.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out the same way.
They're not. That's why we have insomnia. That's why we had, what's the other one? Levain's cookies. They all make chocolate chip, but it doesn't taste the same. They all have their different ingredient of touch. But I think what I love more about it is because we're talking about it as two Latinas, as two children's book writers, and how you're preserving culture. I wrote a book about El Secreto del Plátano, The Secret of the Plátano. But here you are showing how Analise is introducing a food that has cultural elements like plátano. And plátano, come on, plátanos are Caribbean becoming. Yeah. They are, like there should be an award with a plátano.
You know what the thing about it is too, is that I actually fought with one of my publishers to not put definitions underneath the words. I had posted part of the book for a group just to read it out, test it. And a lady was like, oh, well, I don't even know what that means. So you should put the definition at the end of the word. And I told her, I was like, there's Google. The same way a kid in the city wouldn't know exactly what a cul-de-sac is or maybe a shrub.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, very, suburban word, But we expect them to know these things without any context. There are so many cultures and so many languages in this country, and we tend to favor one particular culture.
Oh, yes.
One particular person. And
the experience, their voice.
And we just say, step in line. Step in line. But that's why I use Spanglish in my books. And that's why I talk about foods that aren't necessarily common with some people. There is Google. Use your resources. Look it up. The same way I had to look up books, and discover things and figure it out, and everyone just expected me to know it. We are in the age of answers, and we're so open to the world. The world has become so small that we're able to peek into someone's world. And I don't understand why people don't.
I think that's the beauty of books, because so many people don't travel, regardless of what Instagram and Facebook is saying.
Yeah.
It is still not accessible for all
Yes.
to do a 4-day, a 3-day trip around the world to get to know different cultures and languages. This is the cheapest way you get to know people through
Exactly.
a book. And you don't have to afford a book. You could go to the library. You could hear someone reading the book on YouTube for free. There's so many ways we could tap into those cultures, those stories, those communities. And I think we're talking about access, but the way you're talking about it is important for me to hear and learn from you, because I think when you started writing, you understood how limited access our community had.
Yes. It was hard in the beginning, and once upon a time, I had an agent.
I'm laughing because I don't know if this is the start to a wonderful story or a nightmare.
Once upon a time, I had an agent. I will not say said agent's name or agency, but said agency had an issue with one of their clients who started a group. In the group, there was some concerns brought up about representation, racism, everything.
And it happens. And it's overlooked time and time again.
But instead of said agents going, you know what?
Let me dig deep, understand where this statement is coming from.
It wasn't even their group.
Yeah.
It was one of their clients' groups, okay? And instead of going, you know what? Let me find someone for you that can help you with this.
Yes.
And understand these issues that these people are bringing up. They go, oh, we'll help you. And then they double down on their behavior.
Oh, no.
On their comments. And it was brought on Twitter, which I will not call X.
I will not call X either. I call Twitter.
Yeah.
I was trying to sign in actually to Twitter because there was I follow this. I'm big in mangas, and my favorite. I'm reading a story called The Problematic Prince, and for some reason it went back in hiatus, and they wrote that they're going to be in hiatus on X. I had to do a search, or Twitter. But had I not done the search, I wouldn't have known. And I was mad I didn't see it on TikTok or Blue Sky or anywhere else. But I derail your conversation. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. They then went on Twitter and started going back and forth with someone that was calling them out on their behavior. And then tried to get that person fired from their job.
Oh, that's horrible.
And I was like, I can't be a part of this. Because in that moment, I realized I was a token. And
what does a token mean to you, though?
Token is performative diversity. Okay, when a person who is obviously European and in a position of power, and they add people who, such as us, like adding a Latin artist to a lineup of 90%, I want to say. It was just white women. I was the token author.
That's hard.
My book wasn't being sold.
Yeah.
There was over I think 20 or 30 submissions, and it hadn't gotten sold. I didn't feel heard. I felt like I was being more of a nuisance than anything with her responses. And once I saw the situation going on Twitter, I was like, you need to release me from this contract. I cannot be a part of this.
How hard was it to get released from the contract?
They said, they were just like, yeah, we understand, blah, blah, blah. And they let me go.
So when you're, just for people that are unaware, when you're in contract and an agent is representing you, that means that said agent went and already started making negotiations on your behalf. So if there is a story being sold on your behalf, they can't release you from that story. You have to fulfill that. So that means they'll release you from future stories. That's usually the case.
But remember, she hadn't sold any of my books yet.
Agree, but just explaining.
Yeah.
For those that are not understanding what like the weight of an agent is. Now, sometimes when you want to be released from said contract and before agents sell, then they're like, oh, before I lose them, let me see if I could,
Or they'll take a percentage.
Of future earnings or earnings that haven't happened and you're at a loss, or you have to pay the agency. So when you think about writing, although, yes, the agent has a lot of these relationships that we crave, and that means sales, that means that you have to put up those sales when you want to be released. Like, you have to pay that agent just to say goodbye. It's almost like...
It's like a marriage.
It's like a marriage. It's like you're divorcing the person and you have to pay them the alimony up front for saying, like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so unhappy in this marriage. Let me go.
Yeah. And I was lucky that she hadn't sold anything yet. And it's so funny because I want to say 3 months after she let me go, I sold Wepa on my own.
How did you do that? Which was always something that a lot of people don't know about, but selling something on your own is not the easiest.
No. And I sold Wepa to Little Libros. They had actually seen some of my other work, my artwork. I kept pushing, kept doing a lot of events on Twitter, kept promoting myself, and kept reaching out to these companies.
How long? Like 6 months, 3
No,
months,
it was
a year?
It was 3 months after.
So that is lucky. Because some people take 2 years to sell one story.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to be super honest with you. I've been very, very fortunate as far as me selling books. Because I sold Wepa on my own. I sold Analise on my own. And then it took me 3 years to get a new agent.
Because they're not knocking down the doors to represent Caribbean people. That's kind of like a sad fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next guest is here downstairs.
Can we let her in so she sits up? Yeah. 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 She has to be quiet. It's my daughter. I knew she was going to do something like this when she didn't want to talk to me. My next guest is Andrea, by the way. And the book I wrote for her is called Analyse's Determined and Happy Drive that Conchetta helped edit.
Is that one's out?
Yeah, I self-published it.
Okay.
But hopefully, I'm not sure if we're still recording, but I think they paused it for a moment, which is fine. But the good thing about this book, Analyse's Determined Happy Drive, how it came about, it was because the teacher said, you have a daughter that's ADHD, and they knew she had a second diagnosis as well.
Yeah.
Why haven't you written about it? And I had a publisher asking, why haven't you written about it?
Yeah.
So when I decided to write about it, they're like, oh, we don't want this story.
Yeah.
Because it's too simple. It's too simple. And that was like the thing. I'll say it again, but
it's hard too, because it's like, I read about Analise, and like I'm fighting right now to get her IEP.
Oh, have you heard what they're doing with the IEPs?
No. What happened?
Well, to get the IEP now, the wait is a little longer.
It's not long enough.
It was already long, and now it's like they made it longer. And then after they made it longer, they are providing no guidance in schools because now there's a deficit in teachers to explain the process and things like that. So many teachers are stating like you could go for an IEP. So the person is waiting for an IEP. The school talked about it in the beginning of the year, stopped the discussions of IEP, waited for the child to have a couple more episodes. And in order to enforce an IEP, you need to say like the said teacher has to be like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, and we cannot assess learning. That's the big one. Can teachers assess learning? So now is that they're really enforcing an IEP, but it's the end of the school year.
Yeah.
because they know there's a delay in the whole process. So anyway, back to my daughter Andrea, I wrote a book dedicated to her, and because of the experience of what we went through. And I had a hard time just with the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And when I read the story to the teacher who asked me to write the story, she's like, I needed this like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or when I started teaching. And she said that because most Hispanic and Black parents are dealing with just the idea that their child is ADHD. Because even though after the diagnosis, you wrestle with that.
Yeah.
There's no, so we don't talk about the wrestling. We don't talk about how to love your child for being the person they are, even with the diagnosis, and how to get through that.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I derailed you.
No, it's fine. You know, that actually, it's hard sometimes when I write these stories, especially like, I make them as a reflection of my family. You
Yes.
know, my family is just neurospicy to the max.
Neurospicy. Ooh, I love that term. I think I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's just, there's so much neurospiciness in my house. And it's hard because you're being raised to be like, well, that's just bad behavior.
But why?
Because you're thinking that in your head, like, oh, well, my parents said you're just being bad. Even though you know better, and you know that your child is not intentionally, for example, mornings are rough in my house.
Mornings are rough for my husband. Like, not
Mornings
just
are
the
rough for me.
kids.
Yeah.
But, and I say that with love, but like the reason I said, but why? Because my whole life I heard how bad I was because I had a hard time listening because I was off daydreaming.
Yeah.
I was more of a daydreamer to a certain extent. And also like there were some behaviors that happened. And it was just because I isolated myself, right? But that was termed bad.
Yeah.
And now when hearing you use that term of bad, like how did you know this wasn't bad? This is just how a child is processing life.
Because, you know, to be honest with you, part of it was going to therapy and re-raising myself. Like I had to reparent myself.
The unmothering.
And go, okay, this behavior isn't bad. This is just this, or this is just this. I had to realize that I needed to fix me first so I can be the parent that I wanted to be. And that was absolutely fine. My parents did the best they had with the tools they were given. And unfortunately, the tools that they were given were like a rock and a stick when they needed a hammer.
But that's because of how
It's protection, though.
I think it is protection, but I also think like education and these conversations of like
Yeah.
awareness, because now look at you now. You're writing about it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You're writing the feelings in a messy way that is relatable.
Yeah.
And then you're illustrating it too, because your colors are choosing some chaotic moments of it too to show our vivid life. I think that's again the beauty of stories, but even more so the beauty of like how your life inspired you to create this.
Yeah. And, you know, just one more point to that is like when I say that it's a form of protection, I mean that they literally were attempting, like their parents were attempting to protect them because they knew out on the streets, because of their culture, because of their race, they could be hurt. They could be killed.
Yes.
So they were protecting them, and it was essentially the adultification of them at a young age. They also weren't able to have a childhood. And
But how old was that? Because I think that's important to talk about.
my mother, one of the stories that she told me when she started school, her name is Anna.
Okay. My mom's name is Anne. I mean, she is Namiana, but she goes by Annie.
Yeah. So hers is Anna Marie.
Okay.
And when she went to school, the teacher told her, no, your name is Anna.
Oh, wow.
And she's a very young child at this point. She goes, no, my name is Anna. She's like, oh, you don't know how to spell. And they literally made her change her name to Anna. And to this day, she still writes out A-N-N-A, Anna. instead of Anna.
And how old was she at that point in time?
It had to have been in elementary school, but it's just a shame the stories of being told that they're stupid, they're not going to go anywhere from people that are supposed to protect them, you know, from my mother. And then it going on to even my husband hearing. And I've had my own issues with teachers that, you know, didn't think I was going to amount to much.
I had a teacher, so I graduated from John F. Kennedy High School in the Bronx, or Riverdale, or Marlboro Hill area, whatever that's called now, because with gentrification, the names change so much I can't keep up with it. I will say that school was completely dismantled, and now it's 4 schools in one. John F. Kennedy High School, back in the 80s and 90s, was known for is not academic programs, it's athletic programs. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So it was one of the first high schools to have metal detectors. And one of the schools that actually still had guidance counselors, but when I met with my guidance counselor, told me, good luck if you get into college. And I never forgot that. Years later, I went back. I went back as someone that was employed, had an undergraduate and a master's. But I think people don't understand when we're writing these stories, we're writing because we know what it is not to have the positive experience, and we're rewriting the narrative to help someone else.
It's spite. Look, I think that a little healthy spite
It is
a good thing, you know? And I do it for that college teacher. I can't remember your name, but she gave me a C in English.
They're not important. They don't matter.
Oh, no, but I write out of spite because she gave me a C in English, and that was the first time I'd ever gotten a C. And she's like, you could do better. I was like, watch.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it. I like a healthy dose of spite. I like proving people wrong. And also, I like writing normal stories. There are so many awful, awful stories out there that are just boring. But you ever notice that, like, for BIPOC communities, there are so many, like, you either have to be in pain or extraordinary.
Yeah. It's never from this, like, but it's approved from a white gaze. And I have to say the white gaze.
Yeah, it is.
Because the person has to be either in so much pain, like that lady that was on Instagram being famous, or I think it was TikTok, from sharing her trauma from this marital relationship that went left. She had a successful then opportunity for a movie and stuff like that. The lady from, I forgot her name, but still, it is exactly what you're saying. She was talking about trauma, talking about being like cheated on and just getting completely shitted on. And then this is from the opportunity. It was never from a healthy balance, someone that's doing well.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not successful if there is just a normal everyday life picture, because the most checked out book in history for the New York Public Library is The Snowy Day.
Why is that?
Because it's such a slice of life. Like, it's so normal. He's just going and playing in the snow, and this little black boy is just enjoying his time outside. And it's so,
The illustrations
so
are
beautiful.
so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. It's so simple. And I think that there needs to be more stories like that, where the character is allowed to fail, the character is allowed to discover and be normal and not have to be extraordinary in any way, just be themselves and live. So,
But that's not what's happening right now. Right now, they want like a female lead, a male lead that has a special extraordinary ability, or does this or does that. Comes from an affluent neighborhood, comes from the poorest of the poorest neighborhood. Like, because there's no, like, the in-between sounds horrible. And I think that's the danger.
Yeah.
That's the danger.
Well, and I mean, and that's why I write the stories I do, because I feel like my stories do fall in the in-between. My characters are not, you know, super geniuses. They're not like having these super, super issues. These are normal, everyday things that kids can relate to. And the amount of women I had messaging me on Instagram crying in the middle, because it had come out in Target, like couple years ago. Okay. Ban on Target is still existing.
I think that's another episode.
But it had come out in Target for Latinx History Month, of course. So only 4 weeks. And the amount of women had messaging me on Instagram saying, I picked up your book for my kid, but then I started browsing in the aisle and then I was bawling in the middle of Target. Like,
That's beautiful.
the number of messages that were just like, I didn't know I needed someone to just tell me, you're fine. Just, you're fine.
So years ago, I was having dinner with this individual. I don't want to say their name for to protect who they are. They have a film studio. They wanted to write a documentary based on my experience, and they told me I could come up with the name, with the ideas, with the people, everything. And I said, well, the name needs to be The Missing Book.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, why? And I told them all the stories and all the experiences we cannot say because it has to be from these two ranges, exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We met, we had some conversations, obviously, and we did recording, but then it sizzled out. The person, for whatever reason, and I respect it, we both bowed out. I think I had to bow out because I noticed nothing was happening. And what he stated was, and this was before the bowing out, I don't remember how he stated this, but he said something about how many beautiful nods to things I didn't know people need to hear about literature, about the stories in the not only the Latino community and publishing and this, because people don't talk about this. I think, and at the time, Netflix had a show about some of the greatest Black storytellers, and they were making like an homage to all these writers. And there was no Latinos. There was no Asian people. And I kept thinking about there needed to be some of that because some of them are Black too.
Yeah.
Some of them are Black too. And it goes back to this like big extreme. Again, respect, because it did come out and it did highlight some wonderful people. I'm not stating it didn't. But this is how years later people tell me you have to continue pursuing that documentary. If you don't do a documentary, what will you do? And here we are.
No.
And naturally, you're having the conversation with me and I'm telling you, this is why normalizing the everyday magic that we do in stories.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there is a space for all of it. It's hard to be in that space, but it's also, people are craving it.
Yeah.
And they don't even know they're craving it yet. Because, I've sold thousands of copies of Wepa, and yet I've never been on a bestsellers list.
Nope.
I've never been featured on the New York Times, nothing like that. And it doesn't matter to me.
Did you ever come out in New York 11, like WB or like what some of these famous anchors talking about Wepa? Because
No.
But who are the people highlighted?
It's word of mouth.
Exactly. And I think I understand exactly where you're going with this, because this is the whole purpose. We're highlighting stories. And by the way, the New York Times bestsellers list and the USA list, today's list of bestsellers, I think there's something kind of skew about that list.
It's a popularity contest.
It's a popularity contest
Yeah.
because if you see the I think it's USA News top 100 books, some of the books are not even out yet.
Well, I mean, that has more to do with pre-orders.
It does have to do with, but some of the books are coming out in 2028.
Oh, that's weird.
2027. And I saw that recently, and it was because a writer did a whole video saying like, who is hired and like, are the pre-orders that much? And it's because these are some of like these reputable writers that have the industry in a chokehold. and are still always dominating the space, which is fine. But I think there's so much platform for all of us.
I mean, I guess it's fine. There's a lot of
I say it's fine because we have no choice but to accept this like that. But we also, there should be space for us too, because
okay. So
please tell me. I need to hear how your brain functions.
okay, so I think it's absolutely fine, because that's where publishers are going to put their money. Point blank, the publishing system is not great,
Because it's based on white dollars. Mm-hmm. It's not based on black and brown dollars.
which would be a lot more. But they don't put marketing money behind it. And there's one thing that I really hate. Writers go into writing without thinking that they are the product.
But why is that? Because publishers don't educate us on that.
And
or agents.
I think that when you go into a space where you know no one's going to bring you a chair, it is your responsibility to know what space you're going into. You would not go into a space that you know that it's not a safe space for you, right? Okay? There are plenty of spaces I know I'm not going to go to. It's not a safe space for me. And when I went into publishing, I expected it not to be a safe space because the top 100 are always dominated by white writers. And a lot of the writing isn't even that great, if I'm going to be honest. I've read it.
Those were, you remind me about the comments like, just so you know, 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my God, I was just thinking that.
I know you were thinking that because me and you like share a brain some days. 50 Shades of Grey was written by someone as an indie author, correct? Mm-hmm. Sold a lot. Mm-hmm. I think it was dismantled in some of the platforms, like writers platforms and stuff like that. But it made billions.
Yes.
Not millions, billions. Then there was international rights because that book got translated into so many other languages. And then there was a movie. So that means that writer produced so much. But yet, let that author was on every list.
Yeah. I read the first 5 pages.
I mean,
look, I don't yuck anybody's yum, but if
I mean,
it didn't
like this is the concern about just highlighting one book and not others. I remember in an academic setting, I think they took 50 Shades of Grey and put it into some like women's sexual curriculum. I can't remember the exact theme. So now this writer started making educational money, like for educational curriculum. I believe it was about like a woman's sexual revolution. I can't remember.
with that book though.
With that book, because it's talking about the taboo of sex.
But the thing about it is, though, it didn't even come from a safe space. There was no talk of safe words. That is the worst representation of it.
But she did what she did and monetized, right?
So get your bag.
Let's flip it. Now we have people that write either to that genre or other genres that are doing some things remarkable with their writing, and people never even heard of them.
Once again,
it goes back to that.
We already know what it is, and they're not going to give you the marketing money for it. So if you are going into a space that you know is not safe for you, you need to be prepared before you walk into the room. And that's exactly what I did.
So preparation is opening your mouth, saying, I have this book, either in social media, podcasts.
Look, if they're not tired of you, you're not talking about it enough.
Yeah. Paying for your own PR.
Look, I didn't even spend any dollars. I didn't.
How did you do it?
I did it old school. Cold calls.
I did cold calls.
Emails.
I did that too.
Reaching out to every library I could possibly think of.
I had an intern for that.
No, I don't have intern money, sweetheart.
No, I was lucky enough to get into one of these programs for
gotcha.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I had the financial capabilities. I mean, but I will say this much. I didn't know for traditional publishers, it is very different how they market white authors to BIPOC authors. BIPOC authors get less than 2 months representation and promotion. White authors, I heard it's skewed. Like it's a little longer.
Well, it depends on if they're making money or not.
If they're making money,
obviously.
it's all about
If they're making money.
el dinero.
So, I mean, I literally Googled BIPOC bookstores, indie bookstores across the United States, and I made a letter saying, hey, this book is coming out. I think we would be a good fit because morally we match. And the worst thing they can say is no or ignore you. What's the big deal? A no's not going to hurt you. You're going to be in the same place you were before.
Yes.
So a lot of these bookstores took a chance on me. Worldboro Bookstore in Queens. What's the other one? What is it?
The Lit Bar?
Lit Bar. I got there.
I live like a couple of stops from the Lit Bar. I actually left free materials, but I was never blessed like that. But I will say that my bookstore is Word Up Bookstore.
I love Word Up.
Word Up, like she represents like la gente. She does more than just books. I think she was having like a coming of age moment about like redefining your quinceañera moment and giving food out. Like, so to me, they're like more than just a bookstore. They're home.
Yeah. And I will say though, it took a couple of years to get into there. It wasn't just like automatic.
I know. There's been a lot of comments from local authors about the Lit Bar, even when they're traditionally published about it seems like, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but it seems like right now the focus has been on probably other authors and other communities, some celebrities, it seems like.
I think they have a very curated list, and I think that
whether it's wrong or right, like you see the lineup,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you have to do also what's best to keep your bookstore in the community.
Oh, I agree, because bookstores are expensive. And
not just that, they're like failing.
So I work during the day. I can't say much about my day job, but I do work helping business owners. And some of the most, I don't want to share the facts because it's really hurtful, but some of the most restaurants failed before the year's end, and bookstores as well, and flower shops. And like, talk about like my three favorite things.
Yeah.
And it's because of like how expensive it is to have a brick and mortar. I mean, before you weren't paying like $10,000 or $20,000 for a location. And now it's because of the price. Like, inflation has really affected people from becoming entrepreneurs in many ways.
Well, and also because people are not comfortable. When you don't have the basics, when you don't have housing and food and heat, comfort, clothes on your back, when it's hard enough to afford those things, reading is seen as a luxury.
It is. And that's why I want to make sure people know that there's tools that make it accessible. There's writers that are putting their art for free on YouTube, so people could go subscribe or at least listen to for free. And I agree, reading is a luxury. Many of us relate to being in the Scholastic Book Fair just looking, glossing and looking, because we couldn't afford the little paper thing. Check this one for this book that you want or that. Because when you think about it, each book was like at least $4.99 at the time, or $6.99, $10.99, $20.99.
Yeah.
And we're talking about something that adds up. And let's say if you have multiple kids, you want to get each a book. That's not happening.
That's food.
That's food. Exactly. That's basic necessities.
Yeah.
And I think we're going back to that era, unfortunately.
No, I mean, think about all the art programs that are being cut from schools. Kids aren't getting playtime the way they used to.
No.
When Analise was in school in California, they had 3 recesses. Can you imagine that?
Well, I think that's something
amazing.
So needed. The recess that for kids to move their body, and also like being able to, have the opportunity to just like get all the wiggles out, like I say.
Yeah. Yeah. But out here, it's like recess is almost seen as a luxury when it's already been proved. Kids can't sit for long periods of time, and we're taking all these things away from them that they need so much, So
yeah. I want to, since we have to come to a close, I want to say this. Not only is it a joy and a pleasure having you here and highlighting your book, not only Wepa, but also your book that's coming out with Analise. And the series is 3, right?
I have no idea. I have to talk to Michelle about that.
But right now we have planned for 3 or 2.
I know she wants to do another one. We're gonna see where that goes because I do have another book coming out next year.
Can we release the name or not yet?
Yeah, it's called No More Cookies.
No more cookies.
It's about the displacement of children after a hurricane, natural disaster, and how they experience that, a new place after losing everything. So,
Jay, knowing everything I know about you, and I don't want to, again, put words in your mouth, but I would love to hear when people buy your books, whether it's Wepa, Analise, No More Cookies, what is it that you want them to leave knowing about you?
that I wrote this book for myself, for the little girl that didn't have a good example to look at when it came to books. I didn't have books that highlighted who I am or my type of experiences, but that once the book goes out into the world, it's theirs. And now whatever the book means or however it makes them feel, it's theirs and theirs to own. And that's why I write. I write so they can have that little piece of joy or sadness or finding themselves. That's it.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Jay. Thank
You're welcome.
Jay.
Thank you for having me.